I met a really well endowed non binary person the other day. I said, "Let me see them titties." What's up, weirdos? Scott here. Thanks again for visiting the channel. As always, I appreciate it. This is your first time to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the content. If you'd like to send a knife or knives into the channel for review, do me a favor, send me an email at letsdiu79@gmail.com. If you want to send a knife or knives into the channel for review, just send me an email. I will send you my shipping address. You can go ahead and send those to me. I'll spend a week or two with them and do the review and send it back into you. Also, if you would be so kind, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Let's underscore do it up. LETS underscore DOITUP. And today I'm doing a quick review on the Microtech Scarab II. But before I do that, I want to apologize to you guys. I made a video yesterday where I stated I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to continue doing the channel. Just I would do budget knife reviews and stuff like that, but I didn't know if that would bring in a whole lot of traffic to the channel. I spoke with one of my subscribers, and he explained to me and reminded me that the budget knife reviews are what bring most people into the community. And I kind of lost sight. I lost sight of that at some point. I don't. That's why I started the channel, was to, cater to newer people in the community, bring information to people who may not have it or know it. And at some point I lost sight of that. I basically was just buying the knives that I wanted, and showing them on the channel. And talking about not being able to do budget knives because they don't. I mean, it was. I rewatched it with my wife, and it was fucking gross. I kind of sounded like a knife snob, and I'm so sorry, guys. I suck at life. I'm going to try not to let that happen again. But basically what I'm going to do from now on is I'm just going to buy budget knives, and once in a while I'll buy a knife that I want. But I'm probably going to be able to do maybe 1 or 2 budget knives per every 2 weeks. So hopefully at the end of a month I'll have 3 or 4 budget knives left, or 3 or 4 budget knives that I've gotten in and done reviews on, and then I will do a live stream and give those away at some point to you guys, just to thank you guys for subscribing to the channel and the continued support and all that. I really appreciate it. I can't thank you enough. So I definitely will be able to keep going. But let's get started on this guy. Let's do it up, y'all. What do you say? This is the Microtech Scarab II. This is a knife that I've wanted since I got into the knife community 2 or 3 years ago. Very difficult to get a hold of, but it's a freaking awesome knife. If you were, wondering about the thumbnail, yes, it was definitely worth the wait. But let's do it up, y'all. Okay, so this guy is 9.5 inches overall. It's exactly 9.25 without the glass breaker. It's 9.5 with the glass breaker. The blade is 4 inches long. Looks like the cutting edge is about 3.75 inches, and the handle is 5.75 inches overall. I know what you guys are thinking, 5.75 and 4 don't make up 9.5. But the glass breaker is the difference on that. So without the glass breaker, it is 5.5 inches, and with the glass breaker, it is 5.75 inches. Let's do some quick size comparisons. First, I'm just gonna do size comparisons with this guy compared to the Microtech SOCOM. I'm sorry, the Microtech Combat Troodon and the Microtech Direct Delta. So this is the Combat Troodon. You can see this is just a little bit shorter than the Scarab II, and the Direct Delta, as you can see as well, is just a little bit shorter than the Scarab II. So that's all 3 of those put together. I'm also going to show you the thickness on this guy, because the Scarab II is much thicker than these other 2 knives. So here we go. Let's get these lined up. Make sure they're on camera. Okay, whoops. All right, so as you can see, yes, this knife is much, much thicker than the other two knives. The Direct Delta is just a little bit thicker than the Combat Troodon, and the Scarab II is a little bit thicker than the Direct Delta. But as you can see, very robust, very large, very hard use knife, I would say for sure. All right, next up is going to be the Rat Model 1. So compared to the Rat Model 1, the Scarab II is going to be just a little bit longer than the Rat Model 1. Sorry, I'm having a hard time making sure that's lined up right. So we're going to put these tip to tip. There we go. You can see that's a little bit shorter than the Scarab II, and the Ontario Rat 1. I'm sorry, the Ontario Rat Model 2 is going to be quite a bit shorter than the Scarab. The Scarab dwarfs the Rat Model 2. Next up is the RSK MK1 G2 Ritter Hogue's answer to the Benchmade Griptilian. That's obviously going to be quite a bit shorter than the Scarab II. And the AD 20.5 obviously is going to be quite a bit shorter than the Scarab II, as you can see. Next up are the SPYDERCOs. The SPYDERCO Paramilitary 2 obviously is going to be quite a bit shorter than this knife. And the Para 3 obviously is going to be dwarfed by this knife completely, as you can see there. Let's do carry profile real quick, just to get that out of the way. Compared to the Para 3, the thickness on the Scarab II is going to be quite a bit thicker than the Para 3. And as you can see, this thing is going to be nowhere near as tall as the Para 3. Very, very robust knife, but it's not very tall at all. It's only about as tall as the Troodon or the Direct Delta. Last but not least, we're going to compare these to the HINDERER knives. Get this guy open. There we go. Okay. So the XM24, let me see. I think it's going to be a little bit shorter. Yes, that's going to be a little bit shorter than the Scarab II. And the XM18 obviously is going to be quite a bit shorter than the Scarab II. All right, let's get a weight on this guy real quick. Get these knives closed. Okay. All right, let me close this guy. Turn this on, make sure it's zeroed out. I believe this is under 6 ounces. I think it's like 5.7, 5.8. 5.9 ounces, so just under 6 ounces, which isn't too bad for me. I don't mind carrying 6-ounce knives. 6-ounce knives most times. Most of the knives that I carry are, overbuilt or hard-use knives, so they're usually pretty heavy. That doesn't bother me at all. Might bother some people, but it doesn't bother me. Let's get a blade stock thickness on this guy. If I can figure out where I put my calipers, there we go. Okay. So the blade stock thickness on this guy is supposed to be 160 thousandths. So let's make sure that that's accurate. And here we go. Yep, that's pretty close. 158, 159 thousandths. So that seems pretty accurate there. All right. So what we are looking at here is a knife that is, it's an OTF, as you guys know. The blade here is M390, which is Microtech's proprietary M390 blend. From what I hear from other reviewers and content creators, it's not much different at all from regular M390. Maybe has just a little bit more corrosion resistance and a little bit more edge retention than regular M390, but otherwise it's pretty much comparable to M390 all the way around. This is a drop point blade. It does come in double ground, but this one is, dual ground, but this one is definitely a single ground blade. Drop point profile with a flat grind. There is a little bit of blade play with this guy. As you know, most Microtechs have some blade play. I'd say that this one is comparable to the Combat Troodon or the Direct Delta. It has just a little bit of blade play left and right and just a little bit of blade play up and down, but it's barely noticeable. You can feel it, but you can hardly see it. That's pretty comparable, I'd say, with most other Microtech knives that I've handled for sure. You have some milling here. Obviously, you've got a fuller here, some milling in the back of the blade. Let me bring this up to show you a little closer. You've got this groove milled into the top or the spine of the blade. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is a track that the blade rides on. As you can see down here, it's got the same thing on the bottom. So I'm pretty sure that just allows it to stay in the track that it's supposed to stay in, just because this is a pretty heavy knife with a pretty heavy blade. And as you can see, it fires very, very hard. So that might have to be on a track just to keep that from getting messed up. This does have the apocalyptic finish on the blade, which I absolutely love. I love Microtech's apocalyptic finish for sure. As you can see here on the blade, USA, Scarab II, Microtech, M390MK. I will give you a close-up view of the whole thing, all the way tip to bottom. Now, there are a few issues here, but nothing that I'm willing to send the knife back for. I will cover that here in just a few minutes. You've got T8 screws all the way around the show side scale. This is T6 aluminum, and you've also got this rubberized kind of skateboard tape here over on the front of the scale and on the back, which is nice. Gives you plenty of gripitude. You've got a stainless steel pocket clip here, which does have a scarab on it, and then you've got this gigantic, gaudy-ass glass breaker, which I hate. You also have a little tab here that has a hole drilled into it for, I believe that's a lanyard hole. You know, lanyard people rejoice. And on the other side here, there are no screws at all. You don't have to really oil these things. Actually, it's prefer that you don't oil them. If you want to lube it up or something like that, you should definitely get nano oil, which I believe is just Teflon flakes inside of compressed air. So that's a little bit better than oil for these knives. If you put oil in there, it's going to get all gunked up and it'll slow up the action and it'll start failing on you. So be careful about that. You've got quite a bit of milling on the outside of this knife. I asked about these little grooves here underneath the button, and somebody said something about that assisted in opening underwater. I'm not sure how that would help or if that's even true, but that's what I was told by one of my subscribers. You've got some milling up here, gives you a little bit of gripitude there. You've got some jimping here, and then you've got a whole bunch of jimping on the bottom of the knife and some more milling here, giving you those lines to hold on to. Very, very easy to hold on to this knife for sure. And as you can see, the action is absolutely fantastic. With this being a Gen 3, Microtech put their new slide on here, which I will definitely say makes this much, much easier to actuate than either the Combat Troodon, which can be very difficult just because the button is so narrow. So it kind of hurts your thumb. Sorry, guys. It kind of hurts your thumb to operate this guy more than a few times in a row, which you really shouldn't be doing that anyway. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should. But this is definitely more... it definitely takes more pressure to get this to actuate the blade than on the Scarab II. This is so absolutely smooth. It almost feels like you're not doing anything at all. I can even disengage this guy with like my middle finger or my ring finger if I wanted to. It's that easy to pull back. As you guys probably know, if you own Microtechs, deploying the blade is not that bad, but disengaging the blade can be very, very difficult. My wife can't do it. Neither one of my kids can do it. I have a hard time sometimes. But now that they have this new slide on here, it's a dream. It's absolutely amazingly easy to use this knife. I've already explained to you that there's T6 screws all over this guy, and that these scales are T6 aluminum. There obviously are no liners, no Loctite, no pivot, anything like that. I've already showed you the action. Really great action on this knife. This thing fires so freaking hard. And yes, it's a big, heavy blade, so I can totally understand why they have to make it such a hard-firing knife. But it's so satisfying, guys. Let me see if I can get you the acoustics here. I love the acoustics on this knife. I really, really do. This thing is phenomenal. I absolutely love this knife. There's nothing I can say about it that I don't like as far as the actual design language goes. The fit and finish is fantastic on this guy, except with a few exceptions. I'll get to those in just a minute here. I do like how they have this, you know, they mill out the spot here for the rubberized tape, but they do have just a little design here on the front. And there is a line here on the back. That's also pretty nice, especially with that tape there. It makes it a little easier to slide this guy to the pocket. And this guy slides in and out of the pocket very, very, very easily. I have had this guy fail twice on me, but that was while I was rapid firing it. and I think I might have just pushed the button a little too soon and caused it not to close all the way. So I've only ever had it fail on me in while I was disengaging the blade. But again, I think I was just firing it too fast, and I think I just hit the button forward a little too soon, which stopped it from closing all the way. Otherwise, I've never had any issues with this guy failing at all, and I play with it all day, every day, nonstop, pretty much. This is definitely my favorite OTF in my collection. Probably going to end up being one of my favorite knives in my collection for sure. This is a very expensive knife when you can find it. It's going to cost you between $520 and $650, depending on which variant you get. This is the apocalyptic finish with the silver button and the silver hardware. This one was $520. I got this from, where the hell did I get this from? Southern Edges. I got this from Southern Edges. But the DLC version, that the whole knife is DLC coded, that's the one that's $650. This is currently unavailable on any sites. I scoured the web trying to find this guy to see if maybe you guys might be interested in it. You could go buy it so that I could link it in the description. I will link Southern Edges down in the description because this is where I got it, but I cannot link this knife in the description right now simply because it's not available at this time. Microtech does periodically drop these at different sites, so if you're interested, you want this knife, just keep an eye out for it. I'd say look for it at least 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe you'll get lucky. I check the sites every day just because I'm a little bit crazy and there's a lot of knives that I've wanted. I'm pretty much caught up on my collection as far as the things that I've really, really wanted. I've got 2 more knives here that are on the way to me. Very, very excited about them. I'll do the unboxings on those this week. And then after a couple of weeks with those knives, I will do the reviews. But again, I am going to start buying some budget knives, doing unboxings and reviews with those, and then giving them away to you guys. I'm very excited about that. I can't wait to get started. Yeah. It's been 17 minutes already. I think that's everything I have to say to you guys about this particular knife. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, please like and subscribe. That would be awesome. And stay up, guys. Take it easy. Bye.